So it seems like everyone in retail is jumping on the AI bandwagon. I mean, according to McKinsey, something like 71% of consumer goods leaders have already adopted it. But here's the huge paradox. Even with all that money being poured in, a ton of these projects are just falling flat. It's not that we don't have enough tools. Trust me, we have plenty. The real problem is knowing which ones actually work. And today, we're going to fix that.
Okay, let's just start with this number from S&P Global, because it is, well, it's kind of shocking. 42%. That's nearly half of all companies that are just giving up on most of their AI projects. I mean, that's not a small execution gap, right? That's a canyon. It tells us that the way we're picking and using these tools is, frankly, broken.
And that's exactly why we're here today. Look, this isn't going to be just another boring buyer's guide that lists a bunch of features. You've seen those. We're going to give you a clear, powerful framework to help you cut through all the hype and find the tools that will actually create value for your retail business.
So, how do you cut through all that noise? You need a secret weapon, and here it is. We're calling it the R.O.C.K.E.T framework. Think of this as your key for evaluating any automation tool out there and making sure it's actually built for the realities of modern retail.
All right, let's break this down, letter by letter. R is for rapid deployment. Can you get this thing up and running and see value in days, not, months or years? O is for orchestration. Can it actually connect all the different systems you're using? C is for change resilience. This is a big one. Is it going to break every single time a vendor pushes an update? K stands for knowledge empowerment. Can your business experts, the people who actually know the process, build the automations themselves? E is for enterprise governance, which is just a way of saying IT can still have control without becoming a massive bottleneck. And finally, T is for total ROI, which means looking past the sticker price and thinking about all those hidden costs.
Okay, so now we have our framework. Let's actually put it to the test. We're going to dive in and analyze 5 totally different types of AI automation tools that are all fighting for a piece of your budget right now.
First up, the one everybody's talking about, Microsoft Copilot. You can really think of this as a productivity layer. It's basically an AI assistant that's built to make individuals faster inside that whole Microsoft 365 world.
So here's the key thing you need to understand. Copilot is awesome at helping a category manager, say, analyze some sales data in Excel or draft a quick summary in Outlook. But what's its big limitation? It suggests it doesn't execute. It can't actually go into SAP and update your inventory. It can't change a customer status in Salesforce. It's a helper, not a doer for your end-to-end processes.
So when we look at Copilot's R.O.C.K.E.T score, you can see a pretty big problem. It gets big check marks for rapid deployment and governance. It's super easy to turn on and control. But that big red X on orchestration, that's the killer. It's why, despite all the hype, only something like 6% of companies that tried it have actually rolled it out in a big way. The ROI just isn't clear when it can't connect your whole business.
All right, let's move on to our next contender and see how it stacks up. Salesforce Agentforce. Now, this is what we'd call the CRM-centric automation layer. And unlike Copilot, it's actually designed to execute tasks on its own.
The big difference here is that Agentforce agents can actually do things. They can resolve customer cases, they can process orders, update records, all by themselves, right inside of Salesforce. Saks even got it working for their customer service in less than 10 days, which is amazing. But, and this is a big but, it's all happening inside the Salesforce world. The moment you need to connect to SAP or a supplier portal or even just an email server, you're going to need a whole lot of extra complicated integration work.
So if you look at its scorecard, it does really well on most fronts, especially knowledge empowerment. They have a great low-code builder. But that little warning sign next to orchestration, that's the one you got to pay attention to. It's super powerful, but its universe is basically your CRM. And for real-world retail operations, that's a pretty big limitation.
Okay, on to a real veteran in this space, Traditional Robotic Process Automation, or RPA. This is kind of the legacy layer of automation, and it was designed to automate really stable, repetitive tasks by basically mimicking what a human does, clicking and typing.
Now, RPA can connect different systems, which sounds great, right? But it has this one fatal flaw. Engineers call it brittleness. Because it relies on things like screen coordinates and specific UI buttons, the second SAP pushes an update that moves a button by a few pixels, the bot just breaks. And then you're stuck in this endless cycle of, it broke, now we have to fix it, which is why 30 to 50% of all RPA projects just completely fail.
And this number right here, this really shows you the hidden cost.
You should expect to spend 15 to 20% of whatever you paid for it every single year just on maintenance. So that $500,000 project you just signed off on? Yeah, get ready to spend another $100,000 a year just keeping the lights on.
Okay, let's switch gears to a more specialized tool, Intelligent Document Processing, or IDP. The best way to think about this is as your data extraction layer. It's perfect for making sense of all that messy, unstructured paperwork, like invoices and purchase orders.
IDP is fantastic. I mean, truly powerful for what it's designed to do. It can look at invoices from hundreds of different suppliers, all in different formats, and pull out the right info with like 95% accuracy. But that's where the job stops. It gets you the data, but it doesn't do anything with it. It doesn't handle the approvals, the system updates, the payments. It's like having a really, really great engine, but you still need the rest of the car. And that brings us to our fifth and final category, which is really a totally different way of thinking about automation. Business-first automation platforms. This is the cross-system orchestration layer. So these platforms are built differently, right from the ground up. First, instead of an IT team, it's your actual business experts, the category managers, the supply chain planners, the people who know the process, who are building the automations. Second, they're resilient. Instead of relying on where a button is on the screen, they have a deeper understanding of the application so they don't break when UIs change. And that right there is a total game changer for your long-term ROI.
All right, we've walked through all the contenders. Now for the fun part. Let's put them all side by side and figure out a winning strategy.
Okay, this table really lays it all out, doesn't it? Just look at the massive differences here. Deployment time goes from immediate for something like Copilot all the way to 6-12 months for traditional RPA. When you look at UI change resilience, you've got breaks on updates for RPA versus self-healing for business-first platforms. And maybe most importantly, who's in control? Is it IT-led, or do your business users have full autonomy?
And when we put it all together, here's the final scorecard. Running all 5 of these approaches through the R.O.C.K.E.T framework, well, the takeaway is pretty crystal clear, right? Business-first platforms are the only category that gets a good score across all 6 of those critical dimensions.
Now, here's the really important part. The answer isn't to just pick one tool and throw everything else out. The smartest retailers are building a combination strategy. Yeah, use Copilot to help your individual employees be more productive. Definitely use IDP to handle all those invoices. Maybe use RPA, but very carefully on old, stable systems. And then you use a business-first platform as the central nervous system, the core orchestration layer that ties everything together and gives your business the speed it needs.
So before you sign on the dotted line for any of these tools, you need to ask 3 really simple questions. Here's the first one. Can the people who actually understand the business process create the automation themselves? If the answer is no, you are just building yourself a massive IT bottleneck that is going to slow you down.
Okay, question number 2. What happens when Salesforce or SAP pushes an update? If the answer is a team of developers has to scramble to fix a bunch of broken bots, then you really need to question the long-term cost of that solution.
And finally, the third big question. Does it work across your entire system landscape? Let's be honest, retail processes are messy. They jump between SAP, Salesforce, supplier websites, and a dozen different spreadsheets. If a tool can't handle that mess, it's only solving a tiny, tiny piece of your problem.
At the end of the day, this is what it's all about. The real goal here isn't just about being more efficient, it's about being faster. It's about velocity. Success isn't going to be measured by how many hours you save, but by how quickly your business can react to whatever the market throws at it. The right tools don't just help you work, they help you win.